Okay, and welcome to our first webinar this week. We are looking at the Jotter site. We're looking at setting up pages and how you can use the various page formats to create really well navigable sites so that your users aren't scrolling down the pages, they can't find any of your resources, and just looking at different page layouts, different page formats for your particular website. And then what we'll also do is I'll show you how to set up a private area on your website. So for instance, I believe one of the Ofsted requirements is that the governors have their own private area that they can log into, and equally staff might want to have an area on the website too where they can just go in and locate various documents, etc. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to you're probably familiar with this sort of dashboard. You may not have as many apps on as this, but you'll be very familiar with this sort of link. So I'm going to go straight into the website. So I've actually set up a Jotter site for these webinars. So obviously every time we do any recording, we've added any resources in, I will add them in here. Okay, so you're familiar with it in editing mode. We've got our website up. I've got my admin account. And this is my front page, so I've got all my links set up here, all my various menu items, and I've then got various links and blocks and things like that. Now, to be able to find out what my page layouts look like and how I've actually set my site up, you're going to do it through here, through Manage Tabs. So you're not actually in editing mode at the moment, you're actually in Manage Tabs. Okay. What I should have mentioned right at the beginning, by the way, is if you've come in through the Google Hangout, there is an option to click on the Q&A right at the top of the screen. If you click on that, you can go in and add questions. So if there's anything you want to ask throughout the session, just add them on the side. I'll pick them up at the end, and then I'll add them onto this website. I'll work my way through them when we've got them. So this is really how my site is currently set up, and I'll just quickly go through this just to remind you. So anything that is aligned right over onto the left hand side, these are my main menu items, and they're in bold. And if I click on them, that happens to have a custom page layout, and the way you can do that is just literally moving things up and down, adding in rows, adding in columns, etc. And you can actually have a bespoke page layout. You probably wouldn't want too many of these in, because then you're going to be adding lots and lots of content, and it can be quite confusing, especially on your front page. Your front page should really be quite clear, so uncluttered, but draws the eye in so that people can see enough about the school or the organisation without there being too much information. And you tend to have things on the front page that are fairly dynamic, like your calendar or upcoming events or news items or newsletters. They tend to appear on the front page. Okay, and anything that's indented would actually just be a sub-menu item, so it would sit underneath here on the menu bar. However, I have added in a number of pages which I don't want to appear on the menu bar. They do exist, these pages still exist, but they just won't appear on the menu. And again, if I click on them, you can see the page format. So by default, and I think you're probably all familiar with this now, by default, every time you add a new page in, it will always go to this front block. And it literally is a block, it's one row, one column. You have got the option to go in and obviously change the different layouts. So if I decide, right, actually this is going to be, this actually refers to this particular week of doing the webinar about page layouts. So I am actually going to change the layout just to show you, and I'm going to change it to that one. And once you've updated it, if you just click on View Page, it will take you directly to the page you're talking about. So here you can see that I've already started to add a little bit of information in on the page, but if I now go to Manage Page, this is because I've got it hidden. If I go to, I beg your pardon, if I go to Edit Page, you can see that I've got that row across the top, and because I changed it from the main block, I've now got these couple of columns here. So if I then wanted to add something into here, this is where I'm going to start adding in my content. So it can be any of the things, and again, you're all becoming familiar with all the information you can add in. So for instance, when I've completed this webinar, it creates its own YouTube video. So what I will do is I will add YouTube in here, and if I go and add the block in, it then asks me to put URL in here. So I'm just going to go and quickly check, because I know that we did have some YouTube videos from another set of webinars that we did, and let's see if I can find them. And let's see what we've got here. I think I probably put it underneath my videos. So let me just put an example in. So say for instance, I wanted to add this one in, then all I would do is either pop that in here, so I'll just take that, but I have also got the option, if I want to, which is quite handy to know, is if you go to share and go to embed, you can actually put the embedded code in as well, but I'm actually going to put that in there. So that has now just literally added that YouTube video, and if I'd had it as a block, that would just appear in the middle. It means I'm not really making very much use of my space. It would have just been, you end up sort of scrolling down, whereas here at least I've now got the opportunity to add something in over here on the right hand side. So if I go to insert item, and I'm going to add in, I'm going to add in my Twitter feed. I think I've got it here, we'll just find out. We'll soon find out if I haven't. There we go. So that's my Twitter feed. So as you can see, I've actually managed to add 3 different types of content onto one page just by changing the actual page layout, deciding what needs to go on there. If I decided that actually I just wanted to put this particular row with this little image and maybe a link, then actually that one block would have been sufficient. But because I want to add some other bits and pieces in here, I've actually looked at how I can change all the different layouts. And again, if I decided that actually this isn't the layout for me, I can cancel. I can go back in, go back to page, click on here, and I might decide actually maybe something like this is more appropriate, or possibly something like this. And again, I can update it. I must remember to update each time, otherwise it won't work. And then go and view page. And already I can see that that's now shifted over to the other side. If I click on edit page, I've now got the block down the side. So again, if I wanted to pop something down here, so maybe, again, I wanted to put that YouTube video in here, I could do that. I can go on here, copy, pop the URL in there, update, and there it goes. And it doesn't, and it's not quite as dominant. I mean, it can still, I can click on that and I can still open it up in full screen if I wanted to. So again, it's just deciding what you want on each of the pages and what needs to go where. Now the other thing about pages is, and certainly hidden pages, is that you can actually use what I call like a summary page to put some links on. I am actually going to cover this in a little bit more detail next week. But if I look, for instance, let me show you this, show the home page. So here I have actually set up, so these are all my hidden pages, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and I'll show you what they look like here. So these are all of those there. So I've set them up as pages, they sit underneath the webinar booking, but they're not in the actual menu. However, I've set them up so that when you do click on them, it just takes you directly to the page. So I've set up those pages. They can be accessed from the front screen, and that layout, although to be fair with you, if I was going to change it, I think there's a little bit too much information in there. I've got my Twitter feed, I've got another little block here, I've got my newsletter. So how can I change this front screen to make it to use it in a slightly better format. So let's have a little look here. So we've got pages. I'm going to go to home. I'm actually going to come out of here, and I'm going to just try and work out what it is I've got. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So I've got about 6 extra little blocks that I want to do things with. So what I could do is I could maybe do something like this. And now you can see that I can actually change some of this around. So I go to edit page. So I might decide that Twitter is going to go here. Click on move. And obviously, because I've now changed the layout, I've got a few more options as where I'd like things to go. Now actually, so that they're around about the same length. That's a slight little block by itself. So what I could do is I could move that, because that's probably not very much space there. Click on move and actually move that in there. And all of a sudden I've now changed the balance of the page. I've got all the information I want, but I haven't got that great big space down here. And although I have to do a little bit of scrolling, it's certainly not as bad as it was before. So again, just by changing the layout, now that's, to be fair, that is quite a risky thing to do, because I had already added quite a lot of content. Sometimes if you have added a lot of content, you then go and change the page layout. Sometimes things get hidden. They never get lost. You can always go back and recover them. You can see how easy it is to add things back in. But I actually quite like the look of that now. It has more of a balance to it. And in fact, if I click on the upcoming events, I'm just going to take that down to 3 and update that. And you can see that's even now that looks a little better. So I'm going to save that page. I'm quite happy with that. And that's really sort of not much more I can tell you about the pages. I think once you've started adding pages to your site, once you've started creating content, you'll get used to being able to move the blocks around, look at the content you've got on the page. Is there far too much content? Do I need to change the page layout? Because I do want it there, but it could be maybe added in some smaller columns or rows. Or actually, do I have a summary page like this? And create some hidden pages that I can link to. So really it's all about planning ahead, deciding what pages you want to set up, and then obviously managing them from here, but also using the fantastic editing that you have with Jotter to be able to move things around. Now, many of you have had the Jotter 1 site, and you will have just had it imported directly across to your brand new Jotter 2 site. And therefore, however the setup was done on your Jotter 1 site will try to be replicated over on 2. Sometimes it doesn't work so well. Sometimes you may have to sort of go in, move things around, check on the layout and what suits the new layout. What I will say though is it's obviously, and hopefully you'll have seen that in the training today, it's so easy now to move things around. Use that opportunity of having moved it across just to check on your pages. Do we still need these pages? Is there any way that we can combine them, consolidate? Think about your menu items up here. We do have a new feature, and I think I've shared this with many of my recent schools, which is over in the edit page, which is this sitemap here. Now, if you have got one of the old Jotter sites and it's been moved across and all your pages are in place, but you really want to you want to be quite ruthless, you want to go through and check what it looks like, maybe delete a few, but you just have not got that overall view of what your site looks like. What you can now do is this, and what I suggest you do in the first place is actually just create a separate page, so manage pages, add page, and just call it something like site structure, something like that. Obviously you don't want to show it in the menu. You can just add the page. So it's hidden, you've created it but it's just hidden, and then just go to view page. So there's nothing in here at the moment. We're going to go to edit, and if I just and there you go. Now obviously I haven't got that many pages, this is just what I've been working on, but if you have got a website that where all your main menu items and sub-menu items, and they could go on a couple of stages down there, this gives you, it's fantastic, it gives you an overall view of your website. If I just save that page, although you can of course just preview it, as you know you can't click on hyperlinks in editing mode, but if you just save that, I'm going to save it now. Sorry, I was going to save it as a draft. That's a ridiculous thing, isn't it? Let's just go to manage drafts. I'm going to publish that. Why would you save it as a draft? It's so easy to move things around. So now you can see that that's how it works. So if I actually click on any of these, it'll just take me directly to the page. So I can just go back and sort of browse back. But it's just, I think, if you are planning that review of your old website, this is a great place to do it. Set up a page. Maybe if you're working with other people, sit down and you can, between you, check out what needs to, do links still work? Does it make sense to have it in that particular order? Can we move things around? And once you've made that decision, then obviously you can just go straight back into Manage Pages and do all your moving around and bits and pieces there. So here you go. Oops, move things up. Okay, so that really is what I wanted to show you about the site structure, about that new little block there. Right, okay, the other thing I wanted to show you was sort of what we call sort of secure areas. So the governors, for instance, I think they have their own particular area. So let's just create a governors area in here. So I'm just going to add in, I'm going to call it governors public page. And that's going to be root. I'm not going to show it in the menu. Add page. I should have added another one. And then I'm just going to put governors. You probably wouldn't call it this, but this is just an example. And again, it's not going to show it in the menu. Now, at the moment, I've added those two areas down here. So that's the main page, and in fact this one, when I think about it, this one would sit underneath, so let's just go back in there, and that would sit underneath governors public page. There you go. And just update. So I've set up that area, so top menu would be the governors public page that everybody could go into. In fact, I will show that because I'd like you to see what that looks like. So if we just go to that particular page, you see, we've got governors public page there. So and governors do have to be able to give general public and parents access to minutes of meetings and things like that. But equally, there are other areas that they don't need to show the general public. So let's go to edit page. So this is a page that everybody can see. Everybody can access this. Maybe it will just be a description of the governing body, what their roles are, that sort of thing. But what you can then do to allow governors to actually get into the private page is you'd add in a login box. And basically that's where they would log in. So equally you would have set up governor accounts so they could get in. Now if I then go back to the private page, so let's go back to pages right down at the bottom, governor's private page, I now have to give access to the right people to be able to go into this page. So if I click on access, first of all I need to make it a private page, so make sure that's checked, and then the only people I'm going to let go in here are anybody that falls into the governor role. So what you will have done is you'll have set up, it may just have been one generic account for governors, and they will log in with that, and you're going to give them the option to just view. All you want them to do is just to view the documents. You could possibly have created an account for clerk to the governors, and maybe you'll give them the opportunity to go in and do the actual publishing and viewing as well. But as long as you make it known that only those people that fall within this area here, so governors and clerk to governors, only they can then go onto that page. That means that is now completely private. And I'll just update just to make sure that's all done. And come out of there. So although I'm an administrator, it means I can actually go into all of into here. But so basically, you can put all your information. Of course, most people wouldn't be able to get any further than this because most people will be the public, and unless they've got their own username and password, they won't be able to get in. So that's really just how you can. So if, say for instance, there are some students that have got login details or teachers, they would not be able to get into that particular page. So there we are. That's really sort of covering. It hasn't taken too long, 10-15 minutes, just to show you how to change the pages, change the page layouts, and look at some of these new features we've got with the sitemap, which I think that is very, very powerful. Certainly when you're coming to review your site, decide what pages you want to keep in, look at that. But also the fact that we have now got all these fantastic page layouts. It's certainly, and because it's so easy to edit, of course, it just gives you so many more options, so much more flexibility in how you design your website, and you can make it look incredibly professional. I mean, who wouldn't want those? Who wouldn't want those images on the front page of their website? Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Next week we're going to look at how we can add in tables, how we can use images to link to other pages, and just different ways of navigating around our website. Any questions, as I say, please add to the Q&A. I will write all the responses. We're going to make sure that this gets onto the website so you can go straight in and have a look. If you've managed to get details of that, that's basically how you can get onto this area. So jotterwebinars.sites.schooljotter2.com and come in and have a little look. Okay, thank you very much.